hard, man. It's harder than I thought. I think you guys are starting to feel this is harder than I thought.
But in America, there's a thing about both white vigilantism and white tears, particularly male white tears.
My show had value, and that what I was doing had value.
The FBI Dream Team is coming together rather nicely, all while legacy media continues to self-destruct. In this video, you're going to hear from a very tearful Dan Bongino as he prepares his viewers for an emotional goodbye. And I'm also going to share with you his chilling message to the bad actors in our country. Watch out, because this guy means business. Now, we're also going to discuss the big shakeup at NBC with Lester Holt, who's preparing to sign off for one last time on NBC Nightly News. And this all happening as a controversial statement of his resurfaces. I've got that video. Plus, I will show you Joy Reid's entire meltdown after finding out that she had been fired. But first, let's start with her final sign-off.
And a special shout out to our amazing readers, our audience. I just love running into y'all in the airport, on these streets, and on social media. I could not love or appreciate you more. Thank you, thank you, thank you for holding us down. Almost 5 years, we are a toddler, and we out in these streets in this world, and we are not going to stop.
So how do you feel about this? Because I feel like you're on either the side where you're celebrating this news hardcore, or you believe she actually spoke the truth and you think a voice like hers is important in America. Let me know what you think below in the comments, because she's definitely a controversial figure and one that has everybody talking. Also, just a quick reminder to subscribe if you haven't already for all the latest headlines, and I would love it if you could give this video a quick like. All right, so Joy has faced a lot of criticism from her comments about white people, right? Including her mention of white tears, which we showed you at the top of the show, and the claim that white women did not show up to vote for Kamala Harris. As if we owed her our vote, right? This is what is wrong with the Democratic Party. They just assume that certain voting blocks should fall in line. They believe blacks, when they go to the voting booth, should vote Democrat. They believe when they have a female candidate, all women should fall in line. Well, that is not how it works. And until they understand that, they'll continue to lose. Because as a white woman, I didn't vote based on race or gender. I voted based on policy and who I felt could lead this country. And I think most Americans are done with the racist and misogynist comments. So Joy Reid, it's your racist remarks as well that leave me feeling absolutely nothing when I watch this.
But I've been through every emotion from, anger, rage, disappointment, hurt, feeling that, guilt, that I let my team lose their jobs. But in the end, where I really land and where I've landed on today is just gratitude. Just pure gratitude. And gratitude, not just because people would take the time to get on a call like this, or to take care of me, but also that my show had value, and that that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I'm sorry, I try not to cry on TV. And I say this is kind of like me on TV, so I apologize.
That was tough to watch. She also basically went on to say that she is not sorry she went hard on things like Black Lives Matter and President Trump, which again just shows that the left has learned absolutely nothing from the election. Now, one thing you can guarantee is President Trump, he never misses a moment to poke fun. He actually fired off this post that reads in part, quote, "Low-life chairman of Comcast," rather than Comcast, Brian Roberts, the owner of ratings challenge NBC and MSNBC, as Trump calls it, has finally gotten the nerve up to fire one of the least talented people in television, the mentally obnoxious racist Joy Reid. Based on her ratings, which were virtually non-existent, she should have been canned long ago with everyone else who works there. Now, he has a point when it comes to the ratings. The Reid Out has suffered a major slump in ratings since the 2024 election. In fact, if we look at the Nielsen media research, it actually revealed that Reid's show averaged around 759,000 viewers in early December. That is a 47% decline from the 1.4 million she averaged leading up to the election in 2024. Also, to just give you some comparison, On February 20th, Reid's show was reported to have around 778,000 viewers, while Fox News' Laura Ingraham, she attracted around 3.4 million in that same time slot. And Joy, in case you're trying to figure out what went wrong, it was comments like these that tanked your career.
Just be clear, I got into Harvard only because of affirmative action, where one side stands for freedom while the other meets the textbook definition of fascism, namely a far-right dictatorial regime like Hitler's Germany or Franco's Spain or Mussolini's Italy, but also white-ruled South Africa before Mandela and the black majority took control. Twitter now is useless to me. If people like me are leaving, I don't know how Twitter survives.
These people are so wrapped up in themselves that they actually think if they leave a social media platform, the whole world is just going to follow like a bunch of puppy dogs. Well, sorry, Joy, but the only thing that happened after you left X is it got a whole lot better because we didn't have to read your racist disinformation campaign like Exhibit A. She put this tweet out that says, quote, "Nooses never really disappeared as messages of a very specific kind of terror, but every time they're used, my God, it's chilling. Praying for Jussie's full recovery and for all of us." Joy, we know that was a total hoax now. You pulled the race card, you failed, and were on the wrong side of the facts. Let's move to example B. This one happened during COVID. She wrote, quote, "On the other end of the Trump spectrum, this coronavirus crisis has shown some politicians at their best, principally New York Governor Andrew Cuomo." Well, last time I checked, he was responsible for hundreds, if not thousands, of deaths. He was forcing nursing homes to take COVID-positive elderly patients when the hospitals were overwhelmed. And if that's not bad enough, he then hid the data of nursing home deaths. So Reid, you made X great again when you left, and maybe you'll do the same for MSNBC. All right, she's not the only one shaking up the network. Let's talk about Lester Holt. He's stepping down from NBC Nightly News after 10 years. Now, he will remain at the network, so that's the difference there, but instead he's going to commit his full attention to Dateline. I do want to show you, though, a clip that has resurfaced and caused quite a bit of an uproar back in 2021. Watch this.
I think it's become clearer that fairness is overrated. The idea that we should always give two sides equal weight and merit does not reflect the world we find ourselves in. That the sun sets in the west is a fact. Any contrary view does not deserve our time or attention.
This is exactly why legacy media is no longer trusted and why I left after 17 years, which was a really tough decision. I mean, Lester Holt basically says the quiet part out loud, right? They have no interest in covering the other side if they don't agree with it. And they're so quick to dismiss the stories that don't feed their narrative as misinformation. I watched this happen firsthand in my newsroom, and it goes against everything we are taught in journalism. And if they don't choose to correct course, they will continue to watch their platform dwindle away to absolutely nothing. All right, let's shift gears now to President Trump's announcement of Dan Bongino as the new deputy director of the FBI. Here was his official announcement on his show.
I got a call from the president, and it couldn't have been nicer. And I obviously keep the contents of it between us, but I think you get the gist about what it was about. And kind of broke down a bit because it was, this is now real. And ladies and gentlemen, I told you, you see, it's hard for me. I'm going to accept the role proudly as the deputy director, the number 2 spot at the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
What I loved about this episode is he told a great story to his viewers about how him and his wife started this empire with just a microphone and a mixer in their basement 11 years ago. And you could feel the emotion in this episode, especially when he told his fans that he loved them and was unbelievably grateful for their support through this journey. Watch.
I knew you guys were going to be there for us. So to walk away from it, yeah, it's not easy.
You can really tell that this decision weighed heavily on him and his family as well. I mean, he has just 2 weeks now to move from Florida to Washington, D.C. and prepare to transition back into a government role. Now, for those that aren't familiar with this job title in the FBI, here are some of the responsibilities that he will have.
The deputy director does all the blocking and tackling of running the agency. You want to pick up a new investigation, you run it past Dan Bongino if it's a big case. Transferring employees, giving people promotions, demotions, budgets, all of this is going to go through Dan Bongino.
Bongino is another one who's going to be a major change agent, and he's been very critical of the FBI through the years, especially during the Biden administration. Take a look at this.
You've got Mark Zuckerberg saying the FBI pressured them about Russian disinformation. 50 deep staters sign a letter making the story go away. Big tech suppresses the story, and a whistleblower says the FBI suppressing the story. And you've still got people in the media like, nah, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure I believe it. Oh, well, it's because you don't want to believe it.
He's accused of being weaponized in the Biden administration. He was a champion of this recent effort to make a list of 5,000 or so FBI agents and employees who were part of the January 6th investigations for potential internal review.
It's comical to hear the Democrats hyperventilating over an internal review. I mean, what is the harm in doing so, right? This is how we learn what worked, what didn't work, and what we need to improve. The only reason you wouldn't want this is because you've done something wrong and you're worried about being exposed. Now, the Democrats, they had no problem with the previous administration leaving no stone unturned when it came to January 6th or President Trump or even angry parents at school board meetings. The list goes on. But now they don't like it when the shoe is on the other foot. All right, let's wrap this up with Dan Bongino's strong statement on what he plans to do as the next deputy director of the FBI.
But there are a small number of really bad people out there who are planning on really bad things. From terrorists to narco traffickers, child sex rings, gang members. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to rest easy until we find as many of you as we can. Don't sleep, no after today. But that's my mission.